Equality and equity. That's all women have to say today. However, they lose the whole point about equality when a marriage ends in divorce, and the guy is frequently the one who gives the wife, who may have cheated on the husband, child support, and even half of his net worth. In other extreme situations, a father who has obtained custody of his child pays child support to his ex-partner who is not caring for the child. The emergence of communities like MGTOW, Passport Brothers, and others is nothing because the West is essentially a lost cause. Let me elaborate on the whole passport bras business. In addition to living in better economic situations, Western men and women are considered more attractive around the world due to the hue of their skin, which is more attractive in much of the world. Men and women desire Western men and women because white complexion is preferred over dark or black skin everywhere from Africa to Southeast Asia and the Middle East. But is this racial? In theory, yes. But you can't blame either side because part of the reason this is our history, and especially popular culture and media narratives which have always shown white people to be heroes, and people from other cultures, countries, and backgrounds to be villains. This is one of the best examples of how media can brainwash large numbers of populations around the world. There is no question that men and women from around the world who marry Westerners and settle in Western nations reap economic benefits. They are immediately surrounded by more opportunities, better food, a nicer atmosphere, and typically lower crime rates after the transfer. Also, they begin to make more money than they would in their native nations. However, there's always a downside to this as well. The men and women from Western countries who choose to find foreign partners and bring them back home are usually shunned by their social circles. They risk losing their chances of having partners of their own backgrounds and end up with people who have a different way of thinking. Since Western men have been influenced by the womanist movement and thus become more feminized, Western women now desire more dominant males. Women want to be in charge and have control over their men's lives, but they also want their guys to appear more manly. It's also about personal choices. Dominant women can also go to other countries to find more submissive men and end up only finding more masculine ones. In that case, they don't really get to be with any men at all. Because for men, financial success isn't as important as their personal respect and need for authority. The majority of women in America and the West believe they are entitled to certain things. They want to be welcomed every day with open arms. They want us to realize that yes can sometimes mean no, no can also mean not yet, and vice versa. We will be labeled as cowards if we commit even one mistake, and ladies don't like cowardly men. That is terrible news since it means the woman is dead and gone. Any misstep could lead to accusations of assault. Although some American men have figured it out, the vast majority have given up and gone on to simpler pastimes, such as dating women from other nations. Because of their lack of economic security, women in developing nations rarely display entitlement as the women in the West do. When they do, they become completely devoted to their new leader, yearning for his company and support in every way possible. Women in these countries aren't embracing womanism because of economic limitations. In their culture, men have not provided equal rights and opportunities for women, and neither has society allowed women the option to choose to be feminists. In their most fundamental form, men just want to feel appreciated. There is now completely zero appreciation for women. They believe they are entitled to a certain level of consideration simply because they are female. I can't remember the last time I did something good for a woman, and she thanked me for it. My counsel to men has always been to follow their own paths. Either embrace your individuality or learn to fit in where you are needed. I wonder if American women, assuming largely white middle-class women, have migrated toward interracial experimentation in the same manner that American males have over the years. I hear more about Western women's tourism to Black Africa and the Caribbean than to Latin America or Asia looking for physical intimacy. Is it because American women are increasingly yearning for the stereotyped bad boys to fill the gaps left by American men? Is interracial adult entertainment a real trend for white women or only an imagined fantasy? Also, does explicit information mislead men or women in its intended direction? My argument is that Western men prefer submissive women. American women, on the other hand, if my estimate is true, are now drawn toward more dominating alpha males. It's always interesting to expose a woman to her reality since they never want to face or confess it by themselves. And a woman's reality is often an extremely emotional and impulsive one. Studies and common sense have shown that women are emotional and more prone than men to feel strong emotions, both good and bad, since emotions are what drives most human behavior. When fighting with a partner, they find it difficult to communicate logical concepts, which results in a never-ending cycle where the male employs logic to establish his point and the woman assumes she is correct. Regardless, situations like this are causing men to conclude that dating is a hassle rather than a fun activity. There are too many tests and not enough returns on investment. Surprisingly, men are happier than ever living the bachelor lifestyle, whereas modern women are becoming unhappier by the day. There are rumors that feminism has failed. Well, there is empirical evidence for it, not just rumors. Let me elaborate on this just a bit. Feminism sought to advance women's rights to things like employment, bank accounts, and other privileges of society that they were previously deprived of. The issue in the modern world is that this agenda has evolved into one of the most oppressive philosophies on the globe. Women who don't fully subscribe to feminism at this time in history are labeled as indoctrinated outsiders and meek. Naturally, if you're a male who disagrees with their absurd notions, you're an oppressor for both being a man and disagreeing with the cause. Overall, women today, particularly in Western countries, have the same, if not more, rights as males. But they feel that is insufficient and demand more. They are becoming slaves to their corporate occupations, and frequently to consumerism and male approval, thanks to the so-called freedom. The majority of boss girls are just cogs in the machine, despite the fact that some women are rising to positions of authority. And let's face it, quotas are a major factor in the rise of women in a variety of institutions, including businesses, governments, and security services. The sole purpose of the girl boss movement is to gain influence and membership inside the sisterhood. The reality is that they are actually miserable. They're just trying to cope by convincing themselves that they're living their best lives, even when the reality is far different from what they portray on social media. The unfortunate truth is that women consume a lot of antidepressants and are generally unhappy with their life. In the dating market, young men sometimes struggle if they aren't adequately handsome, whereas even mediocre young women can quickly find love. The tables change once the 30 or 35-year-old mark is passed, and those men are now so committed to their goal that they either don't have time for dating or prefer younger women. The cycle is destined to repeat itself indefinitely, but we aren't here to grieve it. Instead, Megto men are actually enjoying their life and are happier than the ladies flaunting designer purses, copious amounts of makeup, and a new partner every week. Men are inherently straightforward creatures. Therefore, their demands are limited to loyalty and a partnership free of conflict. Women, however, are more complex, and despite their assertions to the contrary, rarely uphold the standard of communication. Men who choose to go their own way have either learned about female nature through experience or by looking at the cases of other men. At the end of the day, however, they are awakening and deciding to follow a different route that has nothing to do with the traditional happy wife, happy life. In fact, the phrase single life has totally taken the role of happy wife. The amazing thing about this is that women are earning more money than ever before, but they're also understanding that having money does not guarantee happiness. Before anyone assumes the worst, let me clarify that this is not a defense of financial instability or poverty. Chase a check, not a chick, as I often say, but you shouldn't devalue women for financial gain. To distract us from our goal, society has been successful in having us worship a variety of idols, including women. Because of this, Many men waste time pursuing women and return to their goals too late. Fortunately, males can happily enjoy the results of their labor due to their discipline and basic lifestyle, whereas women spend too much money on things they don't truly need. Here's the real truth. The hazardous occupations, such as working in a coal mine or construction, are excluded from the equality that women fought for. These are peasant jobs, and these strong women prefer their cozy corporate careers. The irony is that males are made to look for mothers who will take good care of their offspring, rather than for women who can act as providers. Simply said, a man doesn't give a damn about a woman's accomplishments and actually loves basic, modest girls. Instead, he is aware that if she has spent enough time in a hostile setting, she will probably become more domineering and irritable. Therefore, dating these women does not make men happy. Money is not evil, as I have previously stated, but chasing it and even idolizing it is. Unfortunately, women have fallen into the myth that they may achieve happiness by just earning their own money. However, that is simply untrue. They have the propensity to blow it up rapidly and become caught in the rat race, even with fat paychecks. Finally, feminism is a concern because it tries to differentiate treatment, but there are numerous more reasons why men are happier than women. For women, it has evolved into a new type of servitude, while intelligent men simply decide to give up on dating to concentrate on more worthwhile pursuits. Overall, I think women have it tough by nature as well. They're psychologically wired to be emotional and sometimes irrational. This they cannot help. And with more and more women joining professions where they have to put a stop to their emotions all the time is only going to hamper their own capacity to be feminine. And it is quite evident that men around the world have finally awakened to these realities that were always staring them in the face. Whether it's because of Megto or because of passport bras, men know how they're being duped by women around the world and how they're not going to let that happen to themselves anymore. Thanks for watching Man Reacts. If you liked the video, hit the like button and press the bell icon to subscribe and get notified when we upload our next video.